All right, what's going on, everybody? Today's Friday, March 23rd, and today we're going to be talking about the roles of the studio, okay? So, there's a bunch of different jobs. We're going to go over a couple. There's the gopher, there's the beat maker, the audio engineer, the music producer, the assistants, as well as the artists. But we'll cover artists on a separate video. All right, so basically the first role is the gopher. Now, this is pretty much the role that they're going to be doing everything as far as going to get sandwiches, cleaning the studio, cleaning the bathroom, making sure there's water stocked. Anything that the engineer or the manager or the music producer asks for, the gopher is the guy that, or girl that goes get it. All right? So, basically, a few different roles with or jobs of the gopher would be, answering the phone, could be setting up the schedule, getting, new clients in. It could be sweeping the floors, dusting, anything like that. Pretty much the gopher, they're taking care of all the stuff that everyone else doesn't want to do. All right, the tons of people started off and had great careers where they start off as gophers. I recall hearing John Bon Jovi talk about how his first gig in the studio was a gopher, and then after a while he finally got his chance to record a song, and that ended up being Runaway, which was one of his first hits, I believe. Yeah, so, it's kind of a shitty job, but, I mean, it's a start, and you're in a studio, you get to work with, live artists and all that, so it's still an awesome time. It's just, you're going to be doing all the work no one else wants to do. Alright, so, that's that role. Let's see what else we got today. Yes. The beat maker. All right. The beat maker and the music producer are two different things, two different jobs. The beat maker, he's going to be focusing, his emphasis is particularly on making instrumentals. He's going to be having some type of familiarity with different DAWs, whether it's FL Studio or Logic, Pro Tools, Reason. So basically what their strengths will be is instrumentation, structure, composition, chopping up loops. There's so many different ways to make instrumentals, especially in 2018. There's beat makers who are excellent at more of the composition side of things, maybe using MIDI, or they're musicians themselves, so they play live instruments. There's also the beat makers who, they strictly use samples. So they'll take like a record from somebody else and they'll find a part that they really like that has like cool groove, and then they'll pretty much cut that with the digital scissors, or using an MPC they'll find a chop, and basically from there they build an instrumental around that chop vibe. When you're sampling, you have to deal with copyrights and everything, so just keep that in mind. You don't want to get sued. Let's see. A good beat maker will have at least somewhat of a foundation in music theory. You don't need to know all the crazy stuff. You don't even need to know how to write music as far as, actually scripting it. But you should have some type of understanding of how scales work, of how chords work, chord progressions. Good beat makers know how to bring out vibes in a certain type of music. They know how to work with artists as well. So if the artist hears a certain type of beat in their head, the beat makers should understand what they're trying to bring out and then do that. Beat makers, your style is coming from the sounds you choose, your rhythm with your drum patterns. I like to think of music in terms of colors. So, if I'm making a happier song, I'm going to be looking for brighter colors. I'm going to be looking for shinier colors. If I'm making a dark song, then I want something moodier, maybe gloomy sounding or eerie. That is up to you. That is where your personal taste comes in, and that's where your style eventually develops. You listen to all the best, beat makers. There's music producers as well, but the beat makers like Swizz Beatz or Timbaland, you don't even need to hear their tag. You just know it's them because of what they have that sound, whether it's Swizz Beatz with the percussion, or it's Timbaland with like ethnic sounding strings and and he's got a lot of percussion in his music as well. You know, a beat maker should have an understanding of how transitions work, should understand the difference between a verse and chorus. You know, they should understand groove. Then what else we got for jobs? I'm looking at notes here today, trying to keep a little structure going. All right, so, you know, a music producer, the beat maker, he's focusing mainly on making the beat, the instrumental, the music, the background music, anything like that, the backtrack. The music producer is taking a vision and then they're bringing it to life. You know, so artists are coming to me with all different types of visions in their head. They're like, I want this like really like huge sound, like it's in a cavern and it's like R&B stuff. Cool. So we're gonna use some reverb. Maybe the way we record the vocals will have you stand farther away from the mic, make you sound like you're farther away. All different types of ideas. That's up to me as the music producer to take all what they're kind of imagining and give that life, give that character, bring it out into the real world. You know, having a strong understanding of composition, song structure, songwriting, so important for music producer, as well as knowing how to write melodies, knowing how, not just musical melodies, but vocal melodies, which is still musical, but you know what I mean, not instrumentation, as well as understanding the difference between a harmony and melody, how to write harmonies, how to build chords out of harmonies, anything like that. They have an understanding of how the recording process works with doing overdubs, layering, ad-libs, you know, having there be a depth separation between the chorus and the hook. So maybe when the second verse drops back in after the chorus, the voice sounds even closer. And now it's engineering as well, but you could get a lot of that done in the production process, as well as just how you have the artist stand. A music producer's got to be able to work with the artist, you know. So if what they're singing is calling for this feeling like they're like 5 blocks down the road in New York City and they're screaming at the top of their lungs, then you got to kind of walk them through that process of, all right, cool, I want you to stand back as far as you can from the mic. I want you to turn around, kind of cover your mouth, and now I want you to scream at the wall. And the reason I'm having them scream at the wall is because the microphone's still picking up the reflections of the sound booth. And it makes them sound like they're farther away, and it sounds way cleaner than any plugin can make it. You know? And then when I throw reverb on, or maybe an echo, a delay, it brings it to life. So a music producer also should have some type of understanding of psychology, how to work with people, you know how to bring the best out of people, as well as how to make sure that everything is working in order, people know their roles and they stick to it. A music producer's got to be able to keep the band that they're recording happy, or keep the artist that they're working with happy. They should really make every artist feel like a superstar in a sense, you know, because the artistry is so much of a mindset, and if they feel good when they're in the booth and they feel confident, that's going to translate over into the recording. All right, what else we got? And I'm going to be touching each one of these subjects with way more detail, but these are just kind of an overview. The next one's going to be audio engineer. So with audio engineer, they should have an understanding of everything from the plugins to the board, how to unplug things, where the cables go, XLR cables, instrument cables, how you hook it up to the board, as well as understanding how the preamps work. You know, if you're going into the studio for the first time, you should understand how to pull up plugins, even if you've never used that studio's particular DAW. Like, say you're using Cubase and they have Logic. You should still know how to function all the plugins. You should figure out really quick where to put the inserts or the aux sends, how to make group tracks, anything like that, you know. Knowing the shortcuts, knowing the key preferences or the key commands, so you're really quick on the keyboard or the computer keyboard. You know, so when you're in a session, because time is money, you can't be, you know, fumbling around with the mouse trying to find where to click X, and you're taking forever. You know, the process got to be quick because the person in the booth is paying by the hour. You don't want to be wasting their time, you know. It makes you look bad. So you got to be practicing your free time how to be a ninja working that keyboard. Okay? What else? Engineers should know how to mix, they should have an understanding of depth, how to make a song sound 3D, the wall of sound when you got high frequencies, the mid-range frequencies, and the low-range frequencies. They should know, have understanding of what punch is, how to make drums sound punchier than they are. A lot of drums that you get with the stock programs, they're clean, but they don't really have that mainstream radio-ready punch, So you got to learn how to bring that out. You got to understand what actually creates punch. And I'll give you a tip. It has a lot to do with the envelope, which is the attack, decay, release, and sustain, all right? So we'll cover that in another video, I'm sure. The engineer should also know miking techniques, how to, mic up a guitar, how to mic up vocals properly. What's the difference if the microphone sits above the person's mouth, and what's the difference when the microphone sits below the person's mouth? Is that going to change the tonality of the recording? Those are important stuff. They should know how to troubleshoot if they ever come across some type of issue in the studio. It sucks. It happens even with me. I'll be in a session sometimes and random glitches start randomly happening because the studio's got a mind of its own. You got to keep calm and just figure out how to troubleshoot that, figure out, all right, well, for some reason you can't hear yourself in the headphones. Why is that? Well, kind of work through a process. Oh, the headphone send was muted. It's easy fix. You follow me? But and sometimes you come across tougher problems and more complicated problems. Best bet, going on Google, type in kind of what you're experiencing in the search, and see if any threads from like Gear Sluts pop up or Future Producers, anything like that. Those are great websites, by the way. And what else? Yeah, there's one other job that's like the assistant techs. Basically, those are just, they're helping out setting up the miking process, maybe helping setting up the drum set and miking up the hi-hats and the kick, snare. They might be the ones setting up the a back mic that's farther away from the recording. You might have like a condenser mic close up to an acoustic guitar, but then you might have another type of microphone set farther back to kind of record more of the ambiance. So what else? They're kind of like the gopher too, but they're not cleaning the bathrooms, they're not sweeping the floors, getting food for everybody, running chores, stuff like that. They're more hands-on with the board. If they're helping out the engineer, they're taking the engineer's commands. If he needs that person to go get a snake from the back room, then they'll run and go grab a snake with a bunch of like cables to plug into it. If they're working with the music producer might tell them, hey, can you go to the keyboard and set up patch number 307 or something random like that, or find some cool strings while I'm doing this. And then they'll go on the keyboard and cycle around until they find strings that they like. Lots of jobs. Every role's got its purpose. I didn't even cover like managers or the artists themselves. There's publishers, all different other roles in the music industry that we'll cover in future videos. All right, but all right, that's it for this week. I hope you guys had an awesome week and enjoy your weekend. I'll talk to you guys on Monday.